Hi everyone, my name is Priyanka and welcome to my vlog. Today we're going to talk how you can quieten that mind of yours. Now, if you are facing a lot of problems because of the fact that you're overthinking all the time, then this is the right vlog for you because today we're going to understand how we can use some very simple tricks and things in our life to quieten this mind of ours. So let's get on with it. So coming on to the first point, the very first thing that you need to understand about your mind is that you have a repeat pattern of thoughts. You're thinking the same thoughts all the time on a loop. And the best way to actually quieten that chatter in your mind is to first understand the kind of thoughts that you're thinking throughout the day. Now, if you pay attention to your thoughts, you will find that most of the thoughts are about what has happened to you in the past, what's going to happen to you in the future, because you don't stay in the present at all. You don't stay here. Right now, even when I'm talking to you, half of your mind is already wandering around, maybe more than half. It's going around thinking of all the things that are not working out for you or have not worked out for you in the past. So, how do we get to a place where we can quieten this mind of ours? Now, most of the times, whenever you're thinking in a pattern, you will not realize that it's actually affecting your decision making also, because every time you're taking an action in this life of yours, it's coming from the pattern of thoughts that you've been thinking. So how do we come out of this pattern of thought? First of all, you have to stop your mind the moment it goes on playing some scenarios in your mind, scenarios of how you are going to talk back to people who've done bad to you, how you're going to put them down, or how you're going to, you know, create some more drama in someone else's life so that you can end up feeling better because they made you feel very bad about yourself. Now, if you're playing all of these scenarios where you're trying to take care of somebody in an ugly way, then you have to stop doing that. The moment your mind goes on to this whole dialogue, inner dialogue, that's making you feel like you're a victim and somebody else is troubling you, then you need to understand that it is coming from an ego state of mind. Now, if someone is talking rudely to you, or someone is misbehaving with you, and someone is not paying attention to you, then you need to understand that you are the one who's reacting to these kind of situations. Yes, people are ugly, people are having some very bad intentions towards you, people are manipulating you, all of that is happening in your life, yes, and especially if you are facing this with your in-laws, because a lot of women will say that yes, we're going through those same thoughts in our mind about a mother-in-law. Whole day we're thinking the same thoughts. Then understand that you cannot come out of it until unless you stop being a victim here. If someone is saying something to you and not liking it, don't pay heed to it. So you're giving 100% of your attention to everybody, but you're not paying attention to what kind of reactions you are doing in this life. You don't pay attention to the kind of thoughts that you're thinking. So, what I want you to do is whenever someone is talking badly to you, someone is being manipulative with you, take a moment and bring one fourth of the attention back to yourself and then understand what kind of thoughts you're thinking in that moment and then change those thoughts there. So, you cannot stop your thoughts. That is something that you should do because you cannot do it. The moment you try and stop your thoughts, they're going to come in larger numbers. So don't do that. Rather, change that thought. Now, if someone is saying something very rude to you, someone is misbehaving with you, someone is not being right with you, what do? You take a moment, bring your focus back to yourself, and think of yourself as somebody who's now moving beyond this drama, who's moving beyond your regular reactions, and slowly and steadily focus on your breath. So moment you focus on your breath, you're no longer reactive to the world, you're making your mind quieten down. It's a habit, you have to practice it. Without practicing it, you will just keep on reacting mindlessly, and that's what's happening in your life. You are living a life from a point of being mindless. You do a lot of things. You say, oh, how can I be mindless? I apply my mind while I'm working. Yes, but then where is your attention? Your attention is not on what you're doing right now. Your attention is always on what's going to happen in the future or what's happened in the past. So always pay attention to the kind of thoughts that you're thinking. Coming on to the second point, I want to give you an example. Whenever you find a person who's stored a lot of clothes in their closet, what does it signify? It signifies that this person is unable to handle their life. And whenever you try and open that closet that's full of clothes that have been just, shoved into it without a second thought, now this cupboard is full of clothes. The moment you try and open that cupboard, all of those clothes come barraging back on you and you fall down into a pile of clothes. And that's exactly what's happening in your life. Your thoughts are so cluttered in your mind right now that your mind is feeling scattered. It is unable to pay attention to anything. It's unable to focus on anything because you have so many thoughts swirling in your mind all the time, because you have become a collector of thoughts. Thoughts that do not work for you. You have a whole basket of negative thoughts. In fact, you're more like a garbage collector. Maybe you're throwing all the garbage out of your house. But when it comes to your mind, you hardly throw away any of those thoughts that have not worked out for you. You have garbage that you've collected for past 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. I don't know how many years you've been collecting. There's a whole basket of negative thoughts that you've collected over the years, and then you sift through those thoughts whenever you go through some difficult phase in your life. So let's say you have problems with some relative of yours, and you meet that relative after, let's say, 3 4 months. So for 3 4 months nothing has happened, and then after 3 4 months you're meeting that relative, and then all of that garbage that you collected regarding that relative comes back to you. And before going and meeting that relative, you'll spend 2 3 days analyzing all of these thoughts and feeling those emotions. You'll feel rage, you'll feel anger, frustration, and you'll feel sadness and anxiety. And then you'll go with a smiling face and meet that relative. How is that benefiting you? I'm not talking about you staying away from that relative. Either you do that, but what you can do is you can clear up the clutter in your mind, and you can have a sit down with them, but I'm sure that sit down will not be of any use to you, because if they've not done inner healing, they will never listen to you. So what you need to do is you need to remove those thoughts. I think Harry Potter fans can relate to this. There was a scene where, Harry Potter was taking out this memory and giving it away to Dumbledore. I don't remember it too much now. So that is what you can do too in life. Rather than Dumbledore, you give it to the divine. You take that memory that's not worked out for you, you take that feeling, that emotion that you have stored for so long out of your mind and surrender it to the divine. Because until unless you do that, you'll simply be a garbage collector with a lot of rubbish thoughts in your mind. And you will keep on doing that for years. And then your life is going to stink up, and then you're going to blame divine, you're going to blame everybody, that relative of yours, you're going to blame him or her. But you're never going to point that finger towards yourself and say to yourself, oh, I was the one who was creating all of that thought in my mind. And because I was creating all of these thoughts in my mind, now my life is looking very, very sad, depressed, and full of anxiety and stress. So what you have to do is you have to surrender to the divine, let go. Why do you want to hold on to these thoughts that have not worked out for you? You do throw out your old clothes and shoes, don't you? But you are not in a habit of throwing out old thoughts. So this is what you have to do. Throw out those old thoughts because they are not helping you in any way or form. Coming on to the third point, every time you're doing something, let's say you're cooking or you're driving or you're working in the office, notice how many times your mind is traveling to these places where it's not supposed to go. Either it's going into the past or it's traveling into the future. So, how do we stop that? How do we make sure that we stay in the present? And to do that, you have to practice it. This requires a bit of practice, because if you keep on simply doing things unconsciously, then it's going to be a very, very difficult time for you to come back into reality, because this is reality right now. I'm talking to you. This is reality. You're listening to what I'm saying to you. You have your phones or your iPads open or your TV open, and then you're listening to me. But what's happening is that there is another reality going on in your mind. That reality is not something that you should pay attention to. Stop paying attention to the reality or movie that's going on in your mind, movie of sadness and depression and anxiety. I mean, if it's a great movie, you can sit and watch it, but then also I suggest that you stop traveling in this mind of yours. You're traveling everywhere. You're going into the past, you're going into the future, you're going into memories that have not served you. Now, if you remove those memories, still you'll travel because you have a habit of traveling. You're sitting at a desk and still traveling. Isn't that what's happening to you? So you have to stop doing that. Imagine your thoughts to be like a loud train. They come by and you don't pay attention to them. Simply going by. That's it. Don't pay attention to unwanted thoughts. It's going to take a bit of a practice because without practice, of course, you cannot perfect this habit. But I'll tell you how you can practice this because people say, oh, how can I practice this? How can I bring it to practice? The best way is that whenever an unwanted thought is coming, whenever you're traveling, snap out of it. Give yourself 10 seconds and then tell yourself, oh, yes, I know now I'm traveling. You know, when you travel, right? When you leave your present and go into the past, or you leave your present and go into the future, jump into the future, you do know that. What you're going to do is every time you start traveling, tell yourself, I have 10 seconds to get out of it and change your activity. So let's say if you were working, get up, take a walk, just clear the air because your mind is so habituated that your body doesn't even know that you've traveled into the past or the future. You're simply so engrossed in this habit that you don't realize that you do it mindlessly, and you have to become mindful of where you are right now. You have to come back to the present. Every time you travel, tell yourself, I have to be here in this present moment and I have to stop doing that. It will take some time for you to bring yourself into the present, but if you keep trying it on for a few times, and if you're paying attention to your traveling, you will come into the present, and then you will no longer travel because this traveling part is not something that's making you happy. It's not a vacation. You travel, you go on a vacation, you step out of the house, you go on a vacation, and even there sometimes you still travel in your mind. So stop doing that. Come into the present, enjoy where you are. Even if it's not an enjoyable task that you're doing, maybe you're making a very boring report, still be there. Or you're studying a very boring subject, be there. That's it. You have to be here in the present. Come back to your breathing. Understand that whenever you travel, you forget that you're breathing also. So come back to your breathing, pay attention to your breathing, and let me tell you, you will snap out of this traveling phase. And with that, I hope you loved my vlog. And if you love my vlog, do like, share, and subscribe and comment down below. And thank you for watching and see you in the next one.